House of Assembly was concluded a few days ago, and then we've had people excited, some not so happy about it. But the most important thing is that as a nation, we need to heal. And discussing that, and then today we'll be discussing sustainable peace beyond elections for the collective good of Nigerians. Discussing that with us in the studio this morning is a member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, also the member of the media team of the Presidential Council Committee, Ms. Kemi Ashekun.
Asheku?
I got it properly.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. A very good morning to you. It's nice to be here with you, and thank you for inviting me.
So good to know you are joining us this morning.
Yes. So let's start with post-elections. Of course, elections are over, but everything you keep saying is litigations. Litigations are all over the place. People are clamoring for even the cancellation of your presidential elects as president of Nigeria. There are people who are calling in the papers this morning. They're calling for his cancellation. The process is wrong. But the general summary is that there's a lot of distrust between us as Nigerians, and we agree that politics is not a do or die thing, but we're seeing where people have actually died in this process. How can we as a nation get to the point where we can embrace peace and then start looking beyond all our differences to build a nation?
Well, thank you for that. I think that first things first, Nigerians must understand that as with every elections, there must be someone who won and someone who did not. Regardless of if you had hoped that your candidates would or should have won, there must be that space of understanding that there is an opportunity to try again. Right? Now, as a nation, some people have taken it upon themselves to believe that they won the elections because in their mind they didn't prepare for the possibility of not winning. And that's nobody's fault. Right? It's the fault of whoever believes that's what they have believed. However, going beyond that, the next thing to ask ourselves, do we want a nation? Do we want a nation that every time things don't go our way, we go the highway? Or do we want a nation where there is the possibility of you try again and you come up this time around? Beyond the elections, beyond all that has happened, there is a nation to govern. And in governing that nation, you must understand that the process has taken place. Yes, there will be litigations. Not everybody will be comfortable with the fact that they didn't win, because everybody, I recall watching the video of the candidate for Lagos State Labour Party's mother. And when they were interviewing her, she said, I'm the mother of the incoming governor. There is no space in that statement for what if he doesn't win. So there is that. So there will be litigations. People have the opportunity to go to court. That's why the democracy rests on not just the legislators, the executive, but also the judiciary, right? The judiciary is left for the judiciary to prove if the election was duly won by my candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or not. And that's acceptable. But then again, if you look at the petition that was submitted by the Labour Party candidate, and I just took a brief look at it this morning, it's somewhat laughable. You want to be declared winner, but you're third in place. The second person in place says he's the winner. Right? The third person in place says he is the winner. Can both of them just decide who the winner really is? That's the first thing. Then he goes ahead to say the candidate of the All Progressives Congress and his running mate should be disqualified. For me, I look at it and I'm saying to myself, lawyers must eat. But you guys should be fair on this guy. He spent a lot of money campaigning.
But every other person else spends money to campaign.
I totally agree.
Because I think, yes, I agree with what you're saying, that there should be a winner and a loser. And I think the problems with other oppositions, not necessarily a particular party, whether it's the PDP or about the LP party or even NNPP, I think part of the issues that people are having is that they seem the process has not been fair, has not been transparent, has not been credible. So there are people who have clamored that we don't really care who wins, so whether it's the APC or PDP or XYZ that wins this election, but we're saying that if one has to be called His Excellency, then the process of getting to that excellent position must be seen as excellent. You understand?
Before you answer that, I would just like to add that the U.S. government just yesterday also released a statement talking about how they would impose a visa ban on anyone who was found wanting undermining the conduct of the electoral process. Exactly. While it's acceptable, they also admitted to the high level of voter intimidation and violence in the governorship and State House of Assembly elections. Do you think this would help our democratic process at all in the bid to achieve peace?
Okay, let me start with her question.
Right.
The process must be excellent. Even the candidate of the Labour Party has said he's not challenging the outcome. He's challenging the process and the mode of transmission of the results.
Exactly.
Now, if you look at what the Electoral Act says, the Electoral Act is clear that INEC determines how it decides to transmit the result. That it's INEC's prerogative, and that much is clear. Now, on the day of election, between the 24th and the 25th of February, Nigeria's cyber space was attacked more than 12 million times in a bid to hack into INEC's system and scatter whatever it is INEC was trying to do to make the elections credible. And that tells you that there was a plan in place to make those elections or that election not credible by hacking into the system. So it was INEC's prerogative to say, we will not upload on the IREV. Everybody is supposed to have a polling agent at all the polling units. I know that the PDP and the APC had the number of polling agents the number of polling units. The Labour Party did not have that. Now, what is the work of your polling agent? To ensure that they sign the results, to ensure that they take pictures. That's allowed in the Electoral Act, that you take pictures of whatever the result in your polling unit is, right, as the polling agent of the party. That alone should put some credibility in the process. That alone, with that you should be able to say, okay, can I see the results? And if I see the results you're polling it, if all the polling agents can come together for real and say, okay, these are the results that we've had, and it's not in tandem with what is in the INEC server, then we have a problem. That is when you say the election was not credible.
That's to say you admit that there's a problem because they admit that the irregularities.
In the court, they'll be able to.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. As in, let us bring out what you have. We'll bring out what we have, and then we can table it. It is left to the courts to decide if we've done what is right or if we haven't. And another thing that a lot of people have refused deliberately, right, to pay attention to is the fact that in an election, you're looking at an addition and a multiplication.
Right.
You want to keep adding, not dividing and subtracting, right? And you don't want to go into an election emotional. You want to go into an election strategizing. Emotions do nothing. Call it anger, call it sadness, whatever.
But we saw that playing a lot in Lagos State this last elections, where the elections were mostly emotional as opposed strategies. And let me explain further.
Okay.
There was a lot of ethnic attacks towards the Igbos. There were a lot of ethnic bigotry from even well-known APC supporters that went round. MC Oluomo is a name that I can call off the tip of my head. And we didn't see anybody, condemning it. And this morning, the papers, rightfully so, the president-elect had called on reconciliation, which is the reason why we're having this conversation this morning, sustainable peace post-elections.
Yeah.
And there are people who have felt that, look, these are things that should have come in pre-election. So when you have people calling out certain people and telling them that this is not their land, they should go back to their land. We've had a couple of years ago, the Oba of Lagos had one time threatened to drown a certain race or a tribe of people in the lagoon. When we see that politics becomes emotional, we've had people threatening people, not for a particular party, but if you're not voting APC, please don't come out. How can we address this post-election? perception
Okay.
for that discomfort. So I don't know.
Okay, let me just quickly address what you have said about people being threatened in Lagos.
Yeah.
The challenge that we have had in Lagos thus far, I was born in Lagos, bred and buttered in Lagos, did most of my schooling in Lagos, is that the people, we as Lagosians, right, are the victims. We've had a Lagos where there was an uprising in the form of NSAS, and 80 buses, brand new buses, were set ablaze that were supposed to help transportation in Lagos. We've had the Igbos, I'm sorry, I don't intend to mention ethnic groups, threaten continuously the indigents of Lagos. I'm coming. No. And I'm saying it has gone on for a while. It came to a head when they started. I don't know if you've seen some of those clips when they started. We're going to run them out of Lagos, and they thrown their oba, do this and do that and do that. There is so much. When a handshake gets to an elbow, then it becomes something else. It's no longer a handshake. It becomes what the Yorubas will call gidigbo. However, that for me is not what we should be looking at. We should be looking at when you come into a place to a people, be their friends. Be their friends and do not threaten them. I think that is very, very important. If you are a guest, if people have been...
What makes one a guest in Nigeria?
I'm coming.
Nigerians are citizens, and I think the right to
totally agree. I totally agree with you.
And they pay taxes.
Fortunately, unfortunately, I have lived in Owerri for a few, plus or minus a year. Right? And I have experienced the hospitality, and I do not want to call it hostility. It's not the same in other parts of Nigeria. And I think that if we will be fair, right, we must agree that if you are in a place, regardless of whether you are a Nigerian citizen or not, don't threaten the people there. Don't tell them we will dethrone their obas, we will throw them out, we will do this. You would, whether you like it or not, get emotions that shouldn't come out from them.
That's true.
Do you understand? But if if you're a guest, well, you're a Nigerian citizen, you can live anywhere, right? But even in living anywhere, be personable. Right? Don't ride roughshod over people, regardless of where you stay, whether in Hausa land, whether in Yoruba land, whether in Igbo land. Be personable. Be a good citizen wherever you are. But let's look at sustainable peace. I think that sustainable peace starts with patriotism. I think that one of the greatest challenges we have as Nigerians is there is no definition of what a Nigerian is at heart. And so the first thing you hear is, I am Yoruba, I am Igbo, I am Hausa. Fortunately for a person like me, I was raised by an Edo father because I lost my father early. So I don't even relate like a Yoruba woman to most people, right? And then I have an Igbo son. So where do I go in the whole course of this? Beyond asking that we come together as a people, relate with each other, not just by the color of our skin, which we do not have in that, not just by our tribe, not by our religion. Some people are fortunate to practice the religion of their fathers. Others decided that's not what they want to do. And they have every right to do that because it's a question of how you want to live your life. You have that responsibility. So as Nigerians, we must decide that enough of you are this and I am that.
Right.
We need to agree that tribe should no longer be the basis of how we relate with each other. I am one of the first people to say, let us leave aside state of origin. I am from Ogun State. I probably have never spent more than 2 years in Ogun State all of my life. Right? I've spent most of it in Lagos. Right? So how about my place of birth? There are people who are from Imo State who have lived in, they've lived in Borno. They were born, bred and buttered in Borno State. What do you want to do with people like that? we have to come to a point as a people where we stop relating with each other based on where are you from.
And I like where we have taken the conversation to. Now there's a new administration that will come on board 29th of May. So how do you think that this new administration can achieve this and dissuade people who still hold so tenaciously to where they come from and bring, when we bring those sentiments, hostility now comes in. How can we achieve this sustainable peace and also curb the inflammatory statements we're also hearing from all quarters? While you're talking about that, also mention the political parties, the role of political parties.
Well, let me first start with the political parties.
Right.
Politicians are usually all about the elections, and that's very unfortunate. They will divide us. They will do whatever it takes to win the elections. It is we as a people that must decide that we will not be used for people's ambition. But that said, let me go to the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm very happy and I'm grateful that he's going to be our president come May 29th. And beyond just him being who he is, Asiwaju is one of the most detribalized Nigerians you can think of. His wife is from Delta State. His I think, daughter-in-law is from the southeastern extraction. She's a mix, Asiwaju is about the only governor, over the years, some governors are trying it now, but he's the first governor since 1999 that had a cabinet of competence, so to speak. He had people from Delta in his cabinet, had people from, I think, Imo. There was the current DG of Budget and National Planning, Mr. Ben Akabweze, right? There's Mr. Joe Igbokwe. Those are people that live and thrive in Lagos. They hold cabinets that even some Lagosians will never think of. And that tells you that he's a man who understands the diversity of Nigeria. He's a man who believes and understands that a human being is a human being first, before whatever tribe or religion they practice. And so that tells me, and I believe should tell all Nigerians, right, that the next president, by the grace of God, when he's sworn in on the 29th of May, is one who will help heal our nation. He will help take away the challenges that we have as a people, where we look at people first from where they come from, and help us realize that human beings are first human beings, creations of God, and must be treated and appreciated that way first, before you start looking at, so your mother is this, your father is that, you're from here, you're from there. There are amazingly competent people from the Southeast. I listened to Mr. Zell Nwayanwu, and he is a brilliant politician from the Southeast. Unfortunately, he didn't get as much leverage as some who decided to use the divide and rule, take back your country, this, that, and that. So at the end of the day, Asiwaju is that person I know is able to go into the creeks to find the best brains, regardless of what tribe they are or what religion they profess. And so, more than anything else, I look forward to that presidency. I look forward to the fact that he is a man who is known to select the best of the crop, and he will find them and fix them where they ought to be. He puts people in places where even they are unaware of how much potential is in them, and he turns that potential into kinetic energy. That, I believe, is what Nigeria needs at this point. Let us not forget.
Okay.
That Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu works very closely with MKO Abiola. And MKO Abiola was supposed to give us, back in 1993, the unity we required as a nation. And that was why across the country, people gave their votes to him. Asiwaju, you might say, is a protege of that belief. And so, more than anything else, I think that Nigerians should look forward to his presidency. I think that Nigerians will be more than glad that they voted him as president when that time comes, by the grace of God, and he starts to assemble the people he will work with.
Kemi Asheku, remember Asheku?
Asheku.
I was put up my Yoruba today.
Yes, okay.
Kemi Asheku.